Let's now move over into ecology. What is ecology? Ecology is the study of the relationships between organisms and their environment and the balances between these relationships. And that is exactly what we're going to speak about now. The relationship between organisms and their environment. Let's look at how organisms are organized in the biosphere. At the lowest level, we have individuals from their respective species. What is a species again? A group of organisms that can interbreed. A group of organisms of the same species forms a population. A population of species forms community. And a collection of communities form an ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, there is the interaction of organisms with their physical environment. Next comes a biome. And a biome is a major geographical region defined by its plants and animals. The different biomes in our world makes up the biosphere. In the ecosystems, we have living organisms and we also have non-living organisms. We call the living part of the environment biotic, and biotic factors consist of all the living things that an organism can interact with. And we call the non-living environment abiotic. And the abiotic factors consist of the physical factors like light, water, salinity, pH, and so on. Here we have different types of organisms that can interact with these factors. What are the different categories of organisms available in the ecosystem? Well, we have herbivores, animals that eat plants only, carnivores, animals that eat flesh only, omnivores, animals that consume both flesh and herbs or plants. We can also categorize organisms according to producers, which are the autotrophs that makes their own food, and consumers that feeds on the autotrophs or other organisms in the ecosystems. Now, energy flows in the ecosystem through these organisms. These organisms make up what we call food chains. And a food chain shows the linear flow of energy, lighting the feeding relationships of different organisms. Who are the producers again? The autotrophs. Primary producers use energy from the sun to produce organic materials through the process called, what's the P word? Photosynthesis. When they produce these organic material, they can flow from one trophic level to another trophic level. Herbivores then feed on these autotrophs, and the energy flows from herbivores to carnivores or omnivores, and we call these three consumers. We also have smaller organisms called decomposers, and decomposers include the bacteria, the fungi, the molds, the worms, and the insects that break down the waste from these animals here when they die and return the nutrients back into the soil where they can be cycled again. So here you can see that decomposers play a big role in the cycling of nutrients in the ecosystems. Now let's talk about some of the relationships that exist between organisms in the ecosystem. Let's start with predator-prey relationships. In predation, an organism captures, kills, and consumes another organism. We say the predator is the organism that captures, kills, and consume the other organism that is called the prey. The predator's survival depends on its ability to catch its prey, and the prey's survival depends on its ability to avoid being caught. Let's now move on into symbiotic relationships. And symbiosis is an interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association. And there are three types of symbiotic relationships. We have commensalism, mutualism, and parasitism. In commensalism, one organism benefits and the second is neither harmed nor helped. Next, mutualism. Mutual, as the name implies, both organisms are helped in some way. For example, birds get nectar from plants, and plants get the help of their pollen grains being transferred from their anthers to another stigma. Lastly, parasitism. Parasitism is a symbiotic relationship where one organism is harmed and the other organism is helped. Tapeworms are parasites that live in human hosts, absorbing the nutrients while humans are deprived of the nutrients. There's also competition. In competition, there's the use of the same limited resource by two or more species in the same place at the same time. That's it for nutrition and food chains. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll talk about excretion. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Good luck on your examination.